So I would say don't undermine your HR function. Don't treat it as a support function. Just, it's there, how we have HR. That's not the right attitude. You have to embrace everything that this has to offer because it can truly transform your organization, the way the people see the organization. And it really brings a lot of, I would say, is the right word to like encourage the workforce to be themselves, which you can do with managers, but it's not the same.
All right. After a long break, we're thrilled to bring back our interview series. Hello, and welcome to another episode of PeopleHum's interview series. I am Anoki Gamre from the PeopleHum team. We are an award-winning AI-powered human capital management platform recognized globally for crafting exceptional employee experiences and driving the future of work. We're proud to run a thriving blog and a video channel that attracts over 400,000 visitors annually. Through this platform, we share insightful conversations with thought leaders and innovators across the globe. Today, I'm delighted to introduce our guest, Mitali Irani. Mitali Irani, a young, vibrant professional with an appetite for challenge, is an alumnus of Indiana University Bloomington and Babson College, Boston, where she earned her BS in psychology and MBA marketing and entrepreneurship, respectively. Mitali spearheads all the brand innovation and technology initiatives at Nag Private Limited. She's leading the change and growth objective through a vision for a brighter and more sustainable future and is focused on advancing the company towards being digitally connected. In addition to her business pursuits, Mitali is a co-chair of the Impact Community for the CII India chapter. Hi, Mitali. Welcome to the People Hum's interview series. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hi, Anoki. Thank you very much for having me here today.
How have you been, Mitali?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here and excited to see what you want to hear. So very, very ready for today.
That's awesome. So, your journey spans such diverse fields from psychology, consulting, and general management. It's fascinating to see how these disciplines intersect. So, could you walk us through how these experiences have shaped your leadership style and approach to decision making?
Of course, of course. So I actually started out with psychology in my educational career, and I thought that that was something I would pursue professionally as well. The goal was always to be a clinical psychologist, but somewhere along the line, I realized that I have a good business acumen and that that might be something I would be more interested in. My mom is also an oncologist, so she tried to steer me away from psychology, saying that it's a lot to take home every day. So think about alternate professions. So that's when I really started evaluating what else I wanted to do. Right after my undergrad, I worked in a manufacturing company called NK America, and they make the aluminum rims for the wheels. And that was when I realized that manufacturing is where my heart is. I walked into the shop floor and I knew that that was what I wanted to do. But I wasn't ready to come back and join the family business yet. I still wanted some outside exposure. So that's what led me to then, when I moved back to India, join Deloitte for a year. And I worked with Deloitte in Mumbai. It was a wonderful experience. Consulting taught me a lot, but it also taught me that it's something I don't want to do. I think more than being in that type of profession, I wanted to be in on the shop floor where you're actually making things, making goods, contributing to the economy. That's sort of what excites me. And also being our family business being in plastics, I think there's a lot of potential for growth in terms of moving towards sustainability initiatives, seeing how we can contribute back, make it a circular economy. So it all sort of fell into place. And I think every part of my journey contributed to who I am today and taught me a different aspect of what I can take from the different companies I've worked with, but then help me become the leader I am today. So, for example, when I was in consulting, I understood the importance of cross-functional teams, etc., which we use here as well. In NK America, the automation was unbelievable. They had hardly any people on the shop floor, and the entire shop floor was pristine and robotics, etc. So that's kind of what I want to do for KK as well. So I've taken little bits and parts of my experience and sort of cultivated it into the type of leadership style I want today. And psychology, as you understand people, you sort of, go beyond the surface level. And I think that has really, really helped me.
Wow, that's inspiring. And I mean, it's clear that drawing from such varied experiences, it gives you a unique perspective altogether. And I mean, leaders talk about the value of having a diverse background, but you've truly woven it into your approach. Yeah.
Yes.
So, speaking of your approach, Matali, let's dive a bit into the culture of KK Nag. What's the core
Yes.
philosophy at KK Nag when it comes to people and team dynamics? And are there any unique practices you've implemented to foster this culture on a regular basis?
Yes. So we at Kekenag are a very people-focused culture, and this actually started all the way when my grandfather and grandmother founded the company. At that time, HR was a bit of an alien concept. So my grandmother essentially played the role of HR and, took care of all the people while my grandfather took care of the business. And then when my father took this on, almost, let's say, over 35 years ago, he was very focused also on making sure, that the people were put first.
Yeah.
And that's something that we've continued to do. So we're very people focused. We consider our members our family actually. So when you join Kekenag, we say you join the Kekenag family, and it's a very lovely culture, honestly. And examples that show it's people focused is that we've had people multi-generation who
Yeah.
someone's father was a workman and then their son has come in and they've worked with us as well. And it's really enjoyable to see entire families grow, and really like be successful. And my father always tells this story that when he used to come as a little kid with his father, my grandfather, to work, everybody used to come on cycles at that time. And my grandfather's goal was that people should start coming on bikes because that was, the next step ahead. And then when my father took it on, he's like, one day we'll even see cars. And now today, in today's day and age, in my generation, our workmen are, some of them have cars and their children have cars. And so there's really a lot of progress that has happened that we have been able to see firsthand. So that I would say is really who we are. And even during, like the toughest times during COVID, when people were getting fired left, right, and center, when there were salary cuts, we made sure no matter what happens, we can't lay off a single person. Everybody is part of our family, part of the company. We have to make it work. And although we did deduct salaries, the minute we broke even as an organization, we reimbursed everyone for the salaries that had been deducted during that crucial time. So I think that's also a nice example that shows you that, people are really at the forefront of the organization and everything else is a result of that.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
really insightful and it's a great perspective, Mitali. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. You've really highlighted how organizations need to rethink their strategies to effectively engage with and support the next generation as well. All right. As we look at the evolving workforce, especially with millennials and Gen Zs taking the center stage, how do you
Yeah.
think organizations should adapt to meet the expectations of these younger generations?
There's a lot that needs to be done. And I think I can say this firsthand because we are a almost 60-year-old company. Next year we reach 60 years. And because of that, what's happened is the technology outside has evolved a lot. And, we're talking about industry 5.0 now. 4.0 is like the talk of yesterday. And as a company that has been there for that long, we haven't unfortunately, we haven't kept up with the technology. So that's one, if I could give one single piece of advice to prepare for the next generation of workforce, you have to have the tools and, the technologies to be able to support them. Because now the newer generation, the work style is very different. People are working smart. They don't work as hard anymore. Do you know what I mean? They find ways to do the work. It's still as good, but it's just done in a more efficient and effective manner. And if you as an organization aren't ready to support that, you will lose out on the type of talent you want. So we have had, younger candidates come in and realize that maybe we're not using the software that they're used to. And, so they don't even want to give you a shot. And
Right.
as important as it is for an organization to hire good people, it's also important for good people to be attracted to the organization. Why would someone want to, start their career or spend their career with us unless we can give them everything they have to offer? So I think that would be my biggest advice. Make sure your technology is up to date. Make sure your existing workforce who has been there, for a long time is welcoming to the younger generation, wants to pass on the knowledge without being threatened. So it's a lot of people management that's going into it as well, because we're at that very interesting stage where a lot of people who joined with my father about 30 years ago, 35 years ago, are now retiring. But the handover is very interesting, and how they want to pass on the knowledge. And it's our job. We have to make it comfortable enough to, create that environment that the knowledge is passed, the new joiners join, and everybody works cohesively with the best that the company has to offer.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I completely agree with you, and it's a great, great, great perspective for sure. On that note, as businesses work to attract and retain top talent, there's also a lot of
Mhm.
buzz around the rapid advancement in AI and technology.
Yeah.
And Kekinag has been a pioneer in the thermocol industry, as you mentioned, for the last 60 years. So, how
Yeah.
do you see AI shaping your industry, and what steps are you taking to prepare for these changes?
Right. So I think right now, more than AI, as I mentioned earlier, we're still on the shop floor in terms of Industry 4.0, Industry 5.0. So definitely we are getting up to Industry 4.0. But I went for a conference recently, and it was a completely about autonomous vehicles. So that's unmanned vehicles that sort of go around your factory, pick up the finished goods, put them in the warehouse. It's amazing what the technology can do. So that is sort of where machine learning and AI comes in on the shop floor, which is where I want to go with that. Because there's so many menial tasks that earlier, people are pushing goods, pulling goods, trolleys, this and that. They don't need to be doing that type of work anymore. They need to be using their brain power to then think about how to make the processes more efficient, to make the entire shop floor more efficient. So why not use robots and machine learning to then do the menial tasks, to do the everyday tasks that you don't need to think about. So that is definitely how I see it shaping our industry. We're not a very tech heavy industry. It's
Yeah.
pure focused manufacturing, and it's all shop floor and machinery. So I would say more would be towards robotics, and definitely IoT. IoT is also now honestly a basic requirement. But I spoke to our developer recently, and even within IoT, first it was just about pulling data from your machinery, getting live data, so you're not reacting, you are proactive about everything. But now they are also thinking of taking it a next step ahead, where they will then use AI and machine learning, tell you if your machine is going to break down, tell you what needs to be done. So it's becoming so sophisticated and amazing that that's definitely what I can see us adopting. But at the same time, we need the right brain power to use this machinery and to be able to work cohesively with it. So it's honestly a balancing act between preparing yourself on a people front and then preparing yourself on the technology front. But there's a lot coming up. It's very exciting.
Yes, and we're excited to see how you're able to adapt to both these aspects. All right, then I'm sure innovation will undoubtedly be the key to staying ahead. So,
Yes.
with your focus on branding, innovation, and technology, how are you positioning KK now for a long-term success? Or what is that one area you're particularly excited about as the company moves forward?
Yes. So these are three areas, honestly, I honed in on after I came back from my MBA because it was good to get an outside-in perspective on what the company is lacking or what the company is good at and can be leveraged, and then sort of go from there. So I chose these three because number one, brand is something we were lacking. So we, until this year actually, had never engaged in any professional marketing activities. Everything is by word of mouth, by customer appreciation. And in a B2B business, you can get away with that. You can. But now with the world becoming such a small place and with exports increasing and global partnerships, you need to have that reach virtually, which you don't need to have physically. So I need to have the best website. I need to have social media. I need to be present. So then I can, attract the right type of partnerships, growth opportunities, etc. So that is why brand is one focus. And we've recently reactivated our social media channels. We're actually launching our corporate video tomorrow. We have our new website coming up at the end of this month. So a lot of exciting things. And then we're also participating in our first trade show this month in the Kisan Agro. So it's a lot of marketing efforts that are coming together. And now, the last 6, 8 months have come to fruition. And I'm very excited to see all the results. And then innovation is because, you touched upon it a little earlier. We are innovators in terms of we brought expanded polystyrene, which is thermocol to India. We brought expanded polypropylene, which is a black foam used for different purposes. We were also the first to do it in India. But I think for a while, we haven't, pursued innovation in an active manner. And so, for example, we're trying to introduce a very well structured R&D department, which I think we were lacking. So that's something I'm working on. And we're trying to, evaluate different materials, more sustainable options. What can we offer that is not available in the market? So that's what my team is working on the innovation front. And then technology, as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of catching up to do. So we got our ERP this year, we got a CRM this year, got IoT this year. So it's been a very active year, and this is just the beginning though. We have a lot left. So now at least we've got everybody behind the same goal, which is Industry 4.0. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's truly exciting, and it's also very
Yes.
inspiring to see how you are, embracing innovation and staying forward thinking, in such a competitive space. So, thank you so much, Mitali, for sharing your journey and insights today. It's been a fascinating conversation. However, to wrap up, our audience includes professionals from diverse fields like HR, L&D, tech, and finance. So, what would be one key piece of advice that you could resonate across these industries, and if you could share something about the HR tech industry as well, it would be great. Some practices that you may be following at KK now. If you could throw some light on that before we wrap up.
That's an interesting question. One piece of advice, honestly, I would say in manufacturing, a lot of companies, at least in our industry, I've seen do not really value the HR function as much as they should. And I feel like that is a big miss. Because you don't realize what you're missing out on until you have it. And once you get the right HR team, we have a wonderful CHRO right now, and she's really making a lot of changes across the company. She's from a media background. So, completely different experience, but has brought in an outside in perspective that is amazing. So I would say don't undermine your HR function. Don't treat it as a support function. Just, it's there, how we have HR. That's not the right attitude. You have to embrace everything that this has to offer because it can truly transform your organization, the way the people see the organization. And it really brings a lot of, I would say, is the right word to like encourage the workforce to be themselves, which you can do with managers, but it's not the same. So I would say definitely don't undermine what value that brings. And also, there are a lot of now, in terms of HR tech, there's a lot of more systems that are available. There's a lot of amazing organizations that are offering you solutions for problems you didn't even know you had. So I would say definitely explore everything, and don't be penny wise pound foolish. Don't look at the costs and then just shy away and hope for the best. Think about investing in HR and in these systems and in your people, because it'll take you a long way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's such a valuable advice, Mitali. I'm sure our audience will walk away with great takeaways from this conversation. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and we truly appreciate the time and wisdom you've shared with us today. Wishing you and Kekina continued success. And thank you so much once again for being a part of this interview.
Thank you very much, Anoki. Thank you.